Ponderers. I'm Lauren.
I'm Joe.
And this week we have a huge ponder, one that's very, very close to my heart. And that essentially, the big question for me, which I feel like is easily answered, but also we're going to go ahead and debate anyway, is The Lord of the Rings the best movie ever? Short answer is yes, and you can go ahead and click off now. But no, I'm just kidding. We're going to go ahead and discuss, we're going to start at the very, very beginning, Lord of the Rings and the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
And break down that movie and go through piece by piece and really kind of discuss why we love it so much and what made it fantastic and something that holds up today and is like really, for me, one of, again, like a centerpiece in terms of filmmaking, something that I absolutely love. So that is going to be our episode for the week. All right, let's just go ahead and dive right in. First thoughts, how do you feel about Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring?
It was one of my favorite movies. I mean, I went into it, my friend Mark was like, I want you to come see this movie with me. He read all the books. And I'm like, this doesn't sound like anything I'm going to enjoy. Like, I'm not into it. And after leaving the theaters, it's like, all right, I changed my mind. I love this. Like,
Yep.
And then I've been watching it, like, on a yearly basis at least. Like, and I'll just randomly put on, like, the Two Towers or the Fellowship and just random.
And be good to go. Yeah, so Lord of the Rings, and as we discussed, like we're both big rewatchers. And so there's been movies, like there were movies before this that I absolutely loved that I rewatched repeatedly. But Lord of the Rings is the first time that I fell like completely headfirst into fandom. That I saw something which was like, oh, cool. This is different. Like it completely shifted my brain chemistry. This is a core memory movie for me. Fellowship of the Ring was the same way, where like I had not been into them at all. Didn't know anything about them. My mom and dad were super insistent that we go see this movie. We were going to go as a family. It was going to be super fun. My dad had been into them in high school. My mom knew them. And so I was like, okay, gross. We have to go see this dumb movie. I really don't want to. Ugh. We sat there in that movie theater and I left and was just like transformed completely from the ground up. This was one of my favorite movies and has been since. The entire franchise holds up for me. I've rewatched it more times, literally more times than I can count. And probably, if I had to guess, these three movies are the films that I've seen the most in my life, more than anything else. You could probably put together all of the Avengers films and all the times I've watched them, and I probably have still watched the Lord of the Rings movies more times than that.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
Yeah,
considering you told us in the rewatch that you watched it, what, 42 times?
42 times. That was in the
theaters.
Just in the theater. I make a pilgrimage yearly for Lord of the Rings. I've reread the books more times than I can count. Rewatched the very first one in terms of this, and actually what I did was different this time. So this time for our episode today, I rewatched the original theatrical version. I have not watched the theatrical version in at least 10 years. I've only watched the extended version. I've only watched like the 4-hour cut. So I was watching this movie and I was like, this is so fast. Where's the rest of the movie? Like it felt to me crazy short, but it's the first time in years that I've watched that one.
But the thing is with the movie that done, it doesn't, regardless if you watch the extended or the original, it just goes by so fast because you're enjoying it so much, I feel like.
Absolutely. Like watching the original theatrical cut, it's still a beautiful film. Still absolutely fantastic. The pacing is amazing. So much comes together. It's so well acted. The amount of care and love and devotion put into it is fantastic. If you get the chance to watch the extended film.
Yeah. Do
it. Absolutely do it. But there is, like, all it does is genuinely add to the story for me. Like, what you get just gives you more to be into. And yeah, I don't get bored. I can watch that 4-hour version and be fine. Clip right through it and then go, I should probably watch the next one every single time.
Yeah. And side note, not trying to change the subject, but last week when we were coming up with ideas for what we're doing this week, when Amanda said, I don't even know what the Fellowship is, I thought you were going to jump across the table.
My soul dropped out of my chest and I was like, cool. Remember that you love her. Remember that you love her. Remember that you love her. Like in this moment, remember, put a lot of work into actively loving her. Everything is fine.
I've made questionable decisions in my life, as you can see.
that might be the moment where I'm just like, ooh, okay, red flag. I will say, my own darling has not watched them in the correct. She's seen all of them, but I have yet to make her sit there and watch them all like through in the right order. She doesn't do that. She had watched them backwards. She went and saw the last one, I think, in theaters with friends, and then watched the other one. Was like, it's kind of okay. And I was like, yeah, I bet if you watch any story knowing the ending, it's not as exciting getting there. Like, okay, whatever.
Well, you missed all the fun in between everything.
Let me tell you, too, sitting there in the theater and having that moment to like getting to the end of the first one and realizing how much there was to go. We're gonna go ahead and jump right to the end. We're gonna bounce around this entire episode. But like getting to the end, seeing Frodo and Sam come up and look at how far they have to go, just realizing, oh, cool, we haven't done anything.
Yeah.
And we spent this entire movie, and all we decided to do was like go on a walk and then start. It was crazy to me realizing how much story there was to unfold. That was one of the things that got me into the book, was that moment of, cool, there's clearly a crazy amount of world here. There's so much to unpack. And in terms of our fantasy building, we're going to take a moment here and just give a nod to J.R.R. Tolkien, who is one of the great fathers, is one of the founding fathers of fantasy as we understand it and know it today, who is one of the originators of like a low match fantasy world. If we look at something like Game of Thrones, the only reason that exists, I swear, is because of something like Tolkien, but it's more than that. The reason that we have our understanding of elves and dwarves the way that we do, it's the same way someone like Bram Stoker is responsible for the vampires, we understand it, and Anne Rice is responsible for that revival. Someone like J.R.R. Tolkien is responsible for our understanding of essentially fantasy, something like Dungeons and Dragons. You can trace almost anything that exists now back to that version, back to some part of his world or what he created and touched there. And that was absolutely extraordinary. All of his books, you go through The Hobbit, you can go, I mean, any of his works, the way that they connect together, the amount of thought he put in, the amount of lore that's in these books is absolutely fantastic. And I love that you can see that in the movie too. One of the things that I like is that Peter Jackson is a huge fan.
Yeah, that always helps, I feel like, with movies, because then, I don't know, sometimes it feels like they just go too far from the books.
Yes.
Or the TV shows and whatnot.
I think it's a wild difference. You can always tell when somebody that's making the thing loves the thing and when they don't. You can tell when they were a fan of it when they were little, or when they got to it when they were older. You can tell when they have read the source material. You can tell when they care about the thing and when they don't. And I don't know if I've ever seen a filmmaker make a film or a series that they loved as much as Peter Jackson loved The Lord of the Rings. We're not gonna mention how he felt about The Hobbit. But in terms of The Lord of the Rings, I don't think that somebody has crafted something in terms of like a film, a movie, with as much care and devotion as I watched. There are extraordinary, and I'm going to make some caveats here. There are extraordinary filmmakers. I can look at somebody like Kubrick and the amount of devotion, the intricacies that he's laying into his films. Absolutely. Something masterful and some beautiful craft there. I'm a big fan personally of Wes Anderson. There's a couple of, there, without a doubt, you can go look at somebody like Hitchcock, who is putting incredible amounts of thought and effort into every single frame of what's going on. But there is such a love and such a passion into the way that The Lord of the Rings was made that I think that it kind of transcends other movies for me. There is like a joy to it. It feels so completely cared about by every single person there. That's always touched my heart when I watch that movie.
Yeah. Well, the thing with someone loving the story to begin with, you see the attention to detail with characters, and you kind of know, well, they'll know exactly how that character is in the book and relay it to their actors and help like describe stuff.
Yes. So I'm going to ask, have you ever watched, if you have the copies of the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, each movie comes with its own amount of special features. They come with like their own set of special features. Have you ever watched those special features that come with?
No, I have not.
Okay, cool. Most people don't. Each movie has 8 additional hours of special features, making the runtime of each is 12 hours. So each one of these is 12 hours, making the entire thing 36 hours. I've watched that set of 30 more times. I don't know, at least 5 or 6 times. I've watched that entire 36 hours through.
I don't think I could try, but I don't know if I.
It's amazing, and I can sit there and do it in one shot too. I can do like it's in 2 days, but I can do it in one shot, like without any break or watching anything else in between. So when you're watching that, it's fantastic. Things like Viggo Mortensen carrying his sword around, and he had a sharpening stone that he carried. He was the only one that sharpened his blade the entire time for the entire filming of the movies. He carried that sword home with him. He keeps it to this day. There are things like he had a repair pack, so he was responsible for stitching and repairing his own clothing. When it would get torn or damaged on set, he would fix it himself because he felt that was authentic to a ranger, that he needed to know how to repair his own. Like, it's those kinds of things, sitting there and watching things like that. The fabrics that they've chosen for costuming, the way that tapestries are done in the background. In the first one, you're watching like Eowyn's clothing come together. You're watching Hobbiton be built, looking at the elves in Rivendell, the amount of history and lore that's in the background of paintings, or that they've laid into that realistically you don't even really see on screen. You're passing by so fast, they just are in the background of a shot. But somebody understood that they wanted to tell the elves' third age, and so they wanted to go back before they had come over to this land of men. And there are these entire histories and works depicted. You could break down the entirety of Middle Earth as it exists as a living world within what Peter Jackson created. And I cannot personally get over that level. To me, it's so beautiful. But again, most people cannot sit there and go through all of those special features. And there was like a fair amount of crazy that went into making that too.
Yeah.
I'm happy to acknowledge there's a certain level of crazy that goes into that. Lord of the Rings was filmed, so all three of those films were filmed consecutively, which is unusual for our franchise. Usually, if something gets greenlit, we're going to film the first one, we're going to see how it does in theaters, and then if we get approved, we'll come back and do the next three. Peter Jackson said no. We're going to do all three because essentially, like, the only way to do these is to do them as a chunk. I need to be able to film them all together. I need to be able to build the locations. So he got approval from New Line Cinema, and he went over to New Zealand. He took his cast and crew, and they were there for a year and a half. They lived in New Zealand. A normal film shoot is anywhere from like 6 to 10 weeks, I want to say. And so they were there for a year and a half, and they filmed all three movies together as a clump. And that's one of the reasons that it worked too, is essentially he was able to create his own workshops. So he had Weta Workshop, which is who built all of the miniatures and the costumes, like all of the background stuff. He was able to build his own warehouses and essentially have an entire functioning world that did nothing but create the Lord of the Rings the entire time.
Well, I think that's part of the reason why that movie worked out so well, is the chemistry between the cast, and everything flowed so nicely.
Yes.
And, I don't know, it just, you felt like it was really happening. I don't know, to me that's how I feel. Like,
it kind of transcends. You can feel that, the camaraderie.
Yeah.
I think that happens too. Because again, like, so they're living together in apartments for like 18 months. And it was one of those things, like, through that experience, they started to take on those kind of roles in like real life or whatever. Sean Astin has said repeatedly that he kind of like went ahead and became Samwise Gamgee to Elijah Wood, who was young and was just kind of a mess. Like, he would lock himself out of his car or out of his apartment, and Sean Astin would just call like locksmiths and get his keys and brought it, and like would just kind of magically take care of things in his life. I do love the chemistry of this group so much. So when we come into the Fellowship, the first one that we meet, of course, we meet our little hobbits.
Yeah.
I love me some hobbits. If I was going to be any race in any magical world, it would be a hobbit, no question. I get it. People love the elves. They're strong. They're fast. They can shoot. They can fight. People love the dwarves. They've got crazy riches. They've got like the deep dwarven halls, super strong, cool weaponry. I get people too that want to be like rangers or whatever. No, I want to be a hobbit. I want 11 meals a day. I want an adorable garden. I want a warm little hole full of books. And I want the amazing weed, whatever it is that they're growing in the Shire. And then all the beverages. That's all I want, is just to be a hobbit.
It does seem like a pretty good lifestyle.
Yes. Could you think of a better place to retire than the Shire?
No, I always thought it was a cool design behind like the houses in the Shire.
I know. The description in the book exactly is that hobbits, of course, live in holes, but not nasty, dark, wet, slimy little holes. Warm, lovely little holes.
No, I mean, that I've seen people like after this movie build houses in that exact, which I mean, it's pretty. I mean, the whole design of the house in the hill like is just amazing. Like,
so iconic.
You could literally grow a garden on your roof.
Yeah, exactly. You totally can. It was an architectural movement for a little bit. They did have houses like that. And Hobbiton, of course, still exists in New Zealand right now. You can go there as a tourist destination. They left it intact. They did not build it. So we're going to do this because it's movie early, but I'm going to come back to it. Rohan, the city of Rohan, was built on a hill, and then they had to like dismantle the entire thing because it was built in a preserve. Hobbiton was not like that. Hobbiton still exists to this day, and you can go there. So someday we're putting that on our bucket list.
Yeah.
We're making it to Hobbiton. Totally down.
I want to go out to Australia and New Zealand, so I'm in.
Fantastic. So exactly, we have our sweet little hobbits. We have Frodo. We have Samwise Gamgee, who is probably my favorite in the. I don't think you can do better than Samwise Gamgee. We have Meriadoc Brandybuck, and then Peregrine Took as our four little hobbits. And then, of course, we are joined in the Shire by Gandalf the Grey.
Yeah.
and he has come in for Bilbo's 111th birthday. And we watch Bilbo get up to a little bit of mischief because he has in his possession a ring, a very special ring.
Yeah.
And that's what kind of brings us into our story. So it's really fun. I always enjoy that kind of like slow slide into a movie where like where you start is so different than where you end up.
Yeah.
The beginning comes of this movie and then the end of it, watching Frodo, seeing Frodo and Sam from the beginning and the end is a wild change. It's a wild difference in where they've ended up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that always happens to me when I'm watching X-Men. I look at Rogue and I look at Logan in the beginning of that movie and the end and I'm just like, whoa, how did we get here? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But side note on the birthday.
Oh, yes.
What I find funny, like I never put it together till like I watched a clip. So I don't know who put it on, but they were talking about the birthday party where Gandalf shooting off fireworks.
Yes, he is.
And how savage that Gandalf is, that he brought a firework.
Oh, yeah.
That was a dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Just to mess with his friend.
Yeah, he was like, cool. It's been a while since you've seen a dragon, bro.
Yeah.
You messed with Smaug for a little bit. Let's see if I can bring one back to your 111th birthday. Exactly. Gandalf is like pulling on some like straight fuckery here in the beginning. He's going hard at this.
Minute of it.
Exactly. Gandalf. So exactly, like it's one of those things. The fun thing is that Bilbo is considered like a troublemaker within the Shire. Yeah. A lot of the other hobbits avoid him. They're just like, no, that man is full of problems. He went on shenanigans and adventures. We don't like any of that. Frodo's completely into it. And so every time Gandalf comes up, they are sus. They are just like, no, man is a problem. But, exactly, you've got Merry and Pippin. They set up his beautiful Smaug firecracker, or firework. And that was one of my favorite moments, too. That little moment of him just be like, there hasn't been a dragon here in 1,000 years. And then he just goes straight down.
Yeah.
They start off on their little adventure. So we cut over. We have the knowledge. We've had Galadriel's voice, Cate Blanchett, who is fantastic in this role. This is one of the first things that I ever saw her in, and hers, Galadriel's amazing. And so we understand that the ring is rising. So we kind of have this juxtaposition of the beauty of the Shire and everything coming up here, and then the strange tonal difference where we have the torture of Gollum, and he gives away the location of the ring. And then we have the knowledge that the ring is there, and Gandalf coming to this slow realization of what the ring really is and what that means. I love that moment where he is with Bilbo, and you're watching Bilbo, which I gotta give a shout out again to hobbits. The fact that Bilbo has had the ring in his possession as long as he has, and has held out. He has kept himself. He has still been himself. Yeah. It's only here that we're watching him teeter at the end, and you watch Gandalf summon this magic, this power up. Do not question me. I'm not some conjurer of cheap tricks. So we have the knowledge that whatever is coming is a serious thing.
Yeah.
He gives the ring on to Frodo. He tells my man, cool, look after this. I'm going to go get some secret knowledge about this. Goes and looks it up and realizes, cool, this is what this ring is. Super problem, guys. This is going to be a serious issue. And then he comes back and he's like, all right, cool. Your whole task, you got to get it out of here. You got to run with it. You got to go. Because these 9 terrible things, these ring wraiths, they're coming after you. Frodo, our sweet little naive Frodo with his little baby doe eyes, has no idea what's going on. So you've got Sam looking out for him, and off on this quest they set. They run into Merry and Pippin, and because Merry and Pippin are Merry and Pippin, they're gonna join in.
Yeah.
You know, they're along for a thing, and so our boys head off, and they get to this inn. Where is it? What is the town?
I can't remember.
Give me a second; it'll come to me. Anyway, they go to the inn, the Prancing Pony Inn. Gosh.
That's it.
No, I know the inn. It's just the town. Okay, so they go to... It's crazy. If you ever watch this movie, we're going to have to watch it in person one time. Gina will officially not watch this movie in the room with me because the amount of lines that I say along with the TV drives her up the wall.
I'm fine with it. You're good.
She can't even. So they get to the Prancing Pony Inn,
and
that's where we meet...
Aragorn.
Yes, we meet Aragorn. Strider at this point, who I actively remember being in the theater. What year was it that Lord of the Rings came out?
I want to say it was early 2000s.
It was super early 2000s. Okay, let's see. So it was
2002 maybe? Or 3?
2001.
Okay.
2001. I remember sitting there and seeing Aragorn come up in like this entire scene because like Frodo's in there. He's in there. We have Aragorn like all shady off in a corner. We don't know what he's up to. There's a little bit of a kerfuffle because, Pippin cannot keep his freaking mouth shut at the bar.
Yeah.
He mentions Frodo. Frodo panics, and he slips out, and the ring slips onto his finger. And for the first time, we see the ring in action. He slips into the void, and he is able to see Sauron for the first time.
Yeah.
Sauron speaks to him within the void. Strider comes up and yanks him out and says, "Cool, bro, you can't be doing this." I remember seeing that gorgeous man appear out of the shadows and thinking he might be the most beautiful human being I've ever seen in my life, ever. Him as Aragorn is just absolutely, like, that is the perfect man to me. It still remains the perfect man. I don't think I've ever seen a man in a movie that I love more than that one. He's the ultimate for me.
All right.
Complete badass, absolutely gorgeous, fantastic heart, loved him to death. But exactly, so he saves our little hobbits, he pulls them out, and he says essentially, "Cool, we got to make a break for it. Gandalf isn't coming. I don't know what's going on, but we have to get to Rivendell. You cannot have the ring. We have to bolt, because the 9 show up where they were supposed to be, stab their little pillows. Not good. We run." So we've got our hobbits. They're trekking it.
Yeah.
Across bogs and shit like that. Pippin and Merry are being denied meals left, right, and center.
Which, very upsetting for them.
Heartbroken about it. He knows about none of the breakfasts, none of elevensies, luncheon, dinner, afternoon, supper, none of it. He knows none of the meals. So they are traveling. These little fools decide not to follow his rule once he goes out on a little scavenger adventure, and they light a fire and have a little meal to themselves, and they manage to do it in the middle of the night because they're 2 of the dumbest creatures to ever exist on Earth. And this, of course, brings the 9. The 9 show up, they stab our little hobbit, and this is where we get an interesting turn too. Like, our story kind of takes on a deeper tilt here. We've seen the lack of Gandalf. We know that he's in a serious perilous position. We've seen him with Saruman. So we're well aware of the fact that his stakes are high. But in terms of our little traveling band of cuties, so far things have been pretty good. They've got someone looking out for them the entire time. And for the first time, we're realizing that they are not safe, that nothing in this world is going to be safe. Frodo himself has been stabbed by a Morgul blade and now is dying, essentially. So as you're watching this movie, like, one of the things that I really enjoy about Lord of the Rings is that it is essentially a really low magic fantasy environment. There are magical elements. He's got this ring, but it doesn't do a ton for him. The 9 have some kind of magic, but it's not like they're out there casting spells. And then, of course, Arwen kind of shows up in this moment too. So we see some elven magic, but it's not crazy. How do you feel about that kind of like low magic fantasy world and the way that it's utilized in this environment? What does that do to the story for you?
It was, I don't know, it kind of made it, maybe because more realistic almost.
Right?
Just because it's not like crazy amounts of magic where like Gandalf's super powerful and just destroys everything.
Exactly. Like, there's no...
Like, they made it realistic. Like, not trying to fast forward to 2 movies, but in the 3rd movie where he's running with his staff up in the air with the light.
Right. We watch that magic continue in him. Exactly.
But, like, that seems more realistic in a...
Because even then, it's like an earned sense of magic. There is. Because, like, you were talking about the realism before, and that's one of the things that I think is so nice about this world, is how tactile and real it seems. It's the same kind of thing that we talked about when we were talking about Star Wars, when we're looking at 4, 5, and 6. The fact that so much of that world filmed is practical. Changes the way that you feel about how the characters are interacting with it. Makes it feel real. The same thing is happening here. An incredible amount of the world that's being created is tactile and real and loved. The shards of Narsa, like all of those kinds of elements. The cloaks, the clothing, the things that they're using, the packs that they're wearing. All of those things are real. But there's also an element of the story itself that's really real and grounded. Yes, we're talking about dwarves and elves, and we have our magical elements here, but it's not the kind of thing like there's a magical spell for everything. I can't just fix everything. Nobody is just running around blasting. Like, I'm not filling in all of this background stuff with CGI. There's going to be elements that I have to fill in for you. But it's relying on this human storytelling, this basic element of good against bad, light against darkness, and faith in your fellow man, this feeling of fellowship. I think that makes a huge difference in this movie and the way that it progresses for me. Alright, so we've made it now to Rivendell. Our little Frodes got stabbed, he got saved by my world's favorite Liv Tyler. Eowyn has come, she's just scooped him up. River magic, these bad guys.
Crush on her.
Oh my gosh, because thank you. This movie is full of nothing but crushes for me. We have Aragorn, we have Legolas, we have Eowyn, We have Arwen. I mean, I can do this all day long, but Arwen, yes, Liv Tyler shows up. Not only does she have one of the world's best writing scenes when she is cutting through the forest on that horse and the nine are after her, every time takes my breath away. Fantastic.
And I love the fact when she does like the elven magic to get the river to turn into like a pack of horses and just take them down was epic.
And it's one of those lines that people have repeated. So this movie has a few of them, but again, you've heard it before. If you want him, come and claim him. Yeah. Like, that's the only way this is going to go. You right over here and come and get... Yes, exactly.
Which I don't know how not more of them made it into our episode.
Oh, I know. When we go back, expect a lot of Lord of the Rings lays, guys. But yeah, so exactly, we make it there, and this is essentially where our fellowship forms. We have come this far. Our hobbit, our little band has carried the ring this far. Sam is planning, cool, we're out, we're done, we get to go home now. I'm through. And we know that Elrond and Gandalf have decided, cool, the ring has got to be destroyed. We have no other option. This is really it. We have Aragorn here confronting the origin of himself and the nature of his heritage and who he truly is. And we see in him, for the first time, maybe fear. We've watched him face 9 wraiths and be fine and kind of roll with it. And you watch him in this hall, looking at the shards of Narsil, looking at the tapestries of his forefathers, being aware of the fact that he is Isildur's blood, and he is afraid for the first time that his failings of men, that his mortality, despite the fact that my man is like 89 years old in this scene, he's afraid that he is too human to be able to succeed. And then we have the council form,
which, going into this movie, not knowing any of this, I was like, I didn't understand
what's going on the level,
because as just watching it, like, all right, guy's looking at a broken sword about some guy, like not knowing that was his father's sword, and
you get this little hint of Boromir, because like you see, I really love, again, everyone is pulling out their A game. These are people that understood their material, they cared about what they were doing, they were been told, and even if they didn't have a complete understanding, you have Peter Jackson guiding them with such deft hand. It's amazing what he's doing here. So you have in this scene, you have Boromir picking up the sword, the shards of Narsil, cutting his finger upon it. Like, you have a little bit of his awe and reverence as he's looking at something that is myth and legend for him, but still real. Yeah. He can see and touch this piece of history, this thing that again, the sword that cut the ring from the hand. This occurred thousands of years ago, and it is amazing. It exists here in front of him, and the blade is still sharp. But at the same time, this derision and this awareness of how far that he's progressed in time and space, this unwillingness to be swayed by the myth, this cynicism, the cynicism of man, which is well earned at this point. And then you have Aragorn, you have Viggo Mortensen over here on the other side, completely aware of the power of this myth and legend. Raised within this culture, raised essentially by elves, unable to be raised by his mother, left to them for care and safekeeping, his lifetime extended. So he is aware of the passage of time in a way that Boromir frankly is not. Boromir is still a child to him in some ways. And also the fear of himself and the fear of what this sword represents and what he is supposed to be and what he might still become. He is deeply aware of the fact that this world teeters again on the edge, that it could go either way. You have Arwen, which is completely sure of what he's going to do, but he himself is not. He is so aware of his humanity and his failings and his flaws there that he can't completely let go of that. Love it. Can't get over this. Okay, so then we have our little fellowship form. Essentially, the fellowship forms because nobody can agree. Everyone with power is completely...
basically blinded by the power, and I mean, Boromir wants to use it as a weapon.
His first suggestion is like, hey, give it to me, I could use it. Of course.
So, another side note, I don't know if... I would imagine you already know this, but the fact that I think they said Peter Jackson came to the guy who plays Boromir. I can't remember his name. Yep. And was like, here, cool, this is a big monologue you gotta memorize by tomorrow.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, not happening. And he actually, from what I heard, was he taped it to his leg.
Yeah, that's why he's starts with the looking down.
But it works so well because it was like,
one does not just walk into Mordor.
Yeah, exactly.
If that's not one of the most memorable moments of this movie.
And like it made it like more dramatic effect, like the way he had to sit there and like, all right, I got to read this real quick.
And there is like you couldn't watch him. This man is completely consumed. Yeah, exactly, right.
It makes it more in depth. Like it worked out so well.
Perfect. It's a perfect moment.
It added so much dramatic like flair to that scene that
yes,
made it that much better.
It absolutely does. Like, I think that is one of those moments where exactly, like, it's one of those things that he's just going, cool, like, I just need to get through this moment. But the way that he pulls that together is absolutely fantastic. You have them fall into squabbling, and Frodo, our sweet little Frodo, says, cool, I will do it. I'll take the ring. I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know how to get there, but I know that this is what has to be done. And watching you fall into this fighting, he begins to hear the black speech of Mordor. He begins to hear the ring chanting, like, as it rises up in power. Because this is all it wants, is the squabbling and the feelings of men. And in doing so, of course, he needs help. So Gandalf volunteers because Bro needs somebody to lead him there. Aragorn volunteers because he knows what is right and he will stand. You have Legolas's bow, Gimli's axe. If this is the will of the council, then Gondor shall see it done, and Boromir is going to ride with my man. And then, of course, our little hobbits who have snuck into the meeting and are like, hey, we're coming along too.
Yeah.
Because you need people of intelligence on this sort of mission request.
Yeah.
And so that is our fellowship. Our fellowship begins, and they set out. So I am used to, again, in the extended edition, that's our halfway point.
Yeah.
That takes me like 2 hours in, and then I have to switch my discs or whatever and go into the other one. So at this point, I felt like we were speeding through in the original version. There's some cool moments that are definitely missing that I am bummed not to have included. They go through some of the history. There's a really cool conversation between Elrond and Gandalf where they discuss what's really going on and how bad the situation has gotten. I absolutely love that moment, and I'm bummed every time not to have it. But in the first half, that's one of the things that kind of like sticks with me the most. I think that's one of the moments that I really love that's included in the special features. So then we set off. We're on our little adventure. What is it? What is the path that we decide to take? So Gandalf knows, okay, so yeah, we're traveling. For the most part, things are going pretty easy in the beginning, too.
They're traveling up the mountain at this
Exactly.
point, right?
Yeah, and things are really green. And then we have the Raven, the Crabite from Dublin. They come through, and it's like, oh no, he's sending spies, which of course he is, bro.
Yeah.
He knows you have the ring. Like, I don't understand what Gandalf was thinking, that Sauron wasn't going to be on him the entire time.
Yeah.
He's building his army of orcs. We've seen him do nothing but badness. He's well aware now that he's switched sides, that he's been completely corrupted, that he's building more and more armies and more soldiers. And so it's one of those things that Gandalf goes, cool, so we can't take this path, we're being watched. So he decides, cool, we're going to go over the mountain. We're going to go over the mountain pass. Saruman goes, awesome, cool, see you there too. And this is another one of the few instances that we see magic at work.
Yeah.
We see a little bit of a wizard battle here. He sends the lightning, he begins to bring down the mountain on them, and Gandalf holds that off. There's a couple of pivotal moments as we're coming up the mountain. One, of course, is the moment where Frodo falls, and Boromir is the one that picks up the ring. I love these moments where they're teasing the weakness within the Fellowship, because even again, as we talked about, like in the stripped down version, in the shorter version, the theatrical version, it's 3 hours. It's not stripped down.
Compared to the extended cut.
I know, and my brain can only see it as the short version. I was like, I'm missing so much movie. There's like an hour of things that are gone.
Yeah.
So it is, like, I love as we're watching, because it's not just Boromir's reaction or Frodo's reaction, it's also Aragorn. You're watching the entire Fellowship become aware of the power of the ring. And we've seen it affect different people in different ways. We're seeing it start to like work or pluck on these like little strings within people, because that's what the ring does. The ring is nothing. The ring is a sentient... It's on the edge of sentience. The ring has a power and a will of its own. Its will is Sauron's will.
Yeah, but
that
it still
is the
has
thing.
its own
But exactly,
will.
it is pushing. It is trying to get back to him. That's why it works on Gollum. And had Bilbo not been who he was, it would have completely fallen apart sooner than that. Frodo, really, frankly, is not as strong as Bilbo was.
No.
There is some weakness in his will.
Because you see it further in the series, which I mean, I don't want to get too in depth on that, but you definitely see it and how it slowly decays him pretty much.
Even now, we can see like there is a weight to him. Like he does seem, and we see like his awareness of it in a different way. So exactly. And then the other thing that we have is that he decides that we have to turn back. We're going to go through the mines of Moria.
Yeah.
So we whip back around, we come down, and we through a series of absolutely insane events, because again, the ring is calling darkness to it in all kinds of areas. We end up trapped down in the mines, which is where Gimli wanted to take us in the first place. This is the home of his cousin Balin. Should be great. We should be bangering.
Yeah.
Get in there and we find out it is, of course, a tomb, not a mine. There are orcs everywhere. Orcs and goblins. So orcs for me are always fun in terms of like the origin of a creature. Because orcs are, of course, I'm not going to say of course, because it depends, even within Tolkien's history, it changes. Orcs, I believe, is my first understanding, is a twisting of elves.
Okay.
Orcs are a manipulation of elves. They are elves bred through dark magic and manipulated and twisted and have become this grotesque thing. Now, later on, you have the Uruk-hai. So the Uruk-hai is what happens when you take an orc and you breed it with a man. So then you've taken this twisted elf creature and then you bred the strength of a man back into it. In later versions, sometimes an orc comes from a man. It all depends. But we have this swarm of orcs down in the mines, and then the Balrog comes.
Yeah.
The Balrog and this scene with Gandalf is one of my favorite movie moments.
And it's one of the most quotable lines I mean, people still use it to this day.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's on our wall.
Oh yeah, exactly, right there. Because you shall not pass.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So yeah, Gandalf is running our boys, and not only that, but like the little scene on the staircase where we're getting everybody across.
Yeah.
Death-defying, so scary. Then exactly, we're on the bridge. Gandalf has sent them on ahead. They're desperate. And he literally, we watch him again, one of those uses of magic. So you get an inherent understanding of his power, the immensity of his power, without him firing off spells and doing stuff all the entire time. Because literally, he is able to hold off this ancient demon from the deep. He casts a spell. He is able to break the bridge. He is able to hold this magic. It does cost him. He is taken down into the shadow.
Yeah. But the fact that he was able to go one-on-one with this thing is incredible. Because, I mean, it is massive. It is terrifying.
Wept like a baby when I was watching that in theaters too. Just broke my heart. Still even now yanks at me, because exactly you're watching the Balrog and its power and he just the complete determination. You shall not pass.
I'm gonna do whatever I can to make sure these guys get to their destination.
And then exactly that moment where he lets go, he falls into the abyss and he says, "Fly, you fool, like we're not done, you have to go." And that intrinsically shifts something in our fellowship. There is a breaking that happens there. So we reach the elves' safe hold after that. We reach Lothlorien, which is one of the elven cities, one of the great elven cities. Lothlorien is, of course, kept safe by Galadriel. Galadriel herself has a ring of power. She's one of the 3 elves that's given a ring of power, and her ring is what provides the safety for Lothlorien, and also, don't quote me, but I want to say it prevents the aging or the corruption of those within her realm.
Yeah. Well, you can see how it messes with her too, with like the way she is at certain points. I feel like.
Yes. So Galadriel is fascinating for me. She is one of my favorite characters. So in the extended edition, when we first meets Galadriel, we see these interesting moments where she's looking at them and you watch them very actively reacting to her. Boromir feels kind of afraid, a little skittish. You watch Frodo be kind of fascinated. You watch Aragorn be drawn to her. So like we can see that something is really intense happening. In the extended editions, you get to hear the conversations these happen with people in their heads. It's fantastic. That's a Galadriel power. Doesn't come from the ring. That's just my girl herself. She can do that on her own. And then, of course, later on we see her with Frodo. Frodo offers her the ring of power, and Galadriel makes the choice. She has and potential. So it's one of those things. It's not completely clear within lore of the book, but she's immensely powerful on her own. Immensely powerful. And there is a very real chance that had Galadriel taken the ring of power, she would have ended up as powerful as Sauron. I think that she could have had that kind of power. When she describes herself, beautiful and terrible as the dawn, as treacherous as the sea, strong as the foundations of the earth. That would have been her by definition. My girl would have rechanged the entire face of Middle Earth had she taken that ring. She gives it up though. She lets Frodo take it. and she decides that she will go and diminish into the west and take her elves with her. So we can see that the elves are making an active choice here. They are leaving Middle Earth. They have given up on this fight. It's not even that she's deciding, cool, I'm not going to take the ring, but I'll back you guys up as it comes down to this.
Yeah.
She's literally just going, awesome, I'm not going to take the ring. I will take my people and we will run. The ring will rise and I will give up. That is what we will do. So we're seeing that it is this tiny contingent. It is a tiny amount of, and there's really not a lot of belief or faith in this group. Gandalf had it and Gandalf is gone. The elves do not. We know that our fellowship has these huge fault lines. So we're watching faith and hope kind of dwindle in this intrinsic way. And then we get to the end. We get to our final confrontation as our band starts to split apart in the bank.
Yeah, but I mean, this is where you see Boromir totally change and go from a 180 from being like, we need to use this as like a weapon to, well, Frodo needs to get this. I got to do whatever I can to make sure he has a better chance.
Yeah, so exactly we do. We see this moment where the ring will reach it, and it pulls Boromir as hard as it can. It's one of my favorite moments. You see it in all kinds of fiction. It's the same thing that happens for me to Jack in The Shining, where the house pulls hard enough that the man inside breaks. The ring pulls hard enough that Boromir cannot resist its temptation for a little bit, and he makes a move to get it. Frodo is able to resist, but it causes him to realize that, cool, if I stay here, the very presence of the thing that I have, it will drive the others to darkness. It will ruin them. The best chance I have is taking it on my own. He genuinely believes this. He confronts Aragorn with this belief, and Aragorn, in his goodness, is able to say to him, go. If you believe, I believe in you, take it. I would have followed you to the end, but go. And then, of course, we have our Uruk-hai show up. So we send Frodo on his way. He's running to safety. And everyone is wrapped up in this drama. We have Aragorn, who is holding off an entire army on his own because, as we might have mentioned, the man is perfect. And then we have the rest of the Fellowship trying to help.
Yeah. Which, I gotta put this out there.
Okay.
Boromir gets shot by multiple arrows and keeps fighting, which is incredible.
Thank you, because this is going to be the moment where I think that we see, this is the truth of Boromir. This is the truth of Boromir. Because you watch him slip on the mountainside, whack his head, and realize, cool, this is not right. Whatever I'm doing is not right. This man is a steward of Gondor. There is a reason that he carries the horn. There is a reason, and again, so you watch this moment at the end. They're going after Merry and Pippin. They're coming after them. And my man here takes 3 Uruk-hai bolts. They are like, what, inch-wide bolts to the chest. And every single time, one of my favorites is after, I can't remember, it's the first or the second bolt, he goes down to his knees, and you see him get really, really shaky. And he literally looks over at the hobbits, and he sees Merry and Pippin, and they're so terrified, and you watch him go, cool, fuck it. And he gets back up and keeps, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
That scene I still weep at to this day. I rewatched it yesterday, cried, because I can't help it.
The part that I teared up with in this whole thing was the fact that how devoted Sam was to Frodo. When Frodo gets in the boat and is trying to leave without Sam, and Sam's literally willing to drown.
Yes.
To prove to his friend that he's not going through it alone.
Right. It's that moment, of course you're going alone, but I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
Because I made a promise, Mr. Frodo. Don't you leave him, Samwise Gamgee. Yeah, it is. Sam, to me, and like, again, as we get through the rest of the movies, but Sam is one of the most perfect characters that I think has ever existed in fiction. I don't think you find a more loyal heart. I don't think you find a better person than Samwise Gamgee. But a close second is going to be Aragorn. Like, again, we're watching some of the most heroic moments that have occurred for me in fiction. There are these beautiful moments of rising above and camaraderie and brother. And like, Sam is literally, he's like, cool, I will follow you anywhere. We're not doing it any other way. And that's where we kind of like leave our fellowship. We've split into multiple directions. We have lost Gandalf. He has fallen into shadow. Boromir has died. And Aragorn has pledged to him that he will not let the city fall, that he will continue to look for their friends, and that he will rise to his place in Gondor, that he will accept who it is that he is meant to be. He, Legolas, and Gimli have decided to go off. They're hunting for Merry and Pippin, who have been snatched up by a band of Uruk-hai. They are being taken now to the Dark Wizard's Tower. They've been taken to Saruman. And again, I remember watching the theater and realizing how much story was left to go, how much could happen here, and still being completely invested, completely caught up, and just absolutely loving every single moment that had happened, feeling like there was not enough.
Yeah.
And to this day, I watch that movie and I am like every single second is perfect. I can watch the extended editions and they're so amazing for me. I think that the biggest reason that still works is because the deeper story that's being told. J.R.R. Tolkien of course, he's lived through both World Wars. He is deeply aware of, he's watched a bunch of young men go through the most epic warfare that will be possible through modern life. And he has seen them come back completely shattered. And what he's trying to do is convey the most human story that he can. He's trying to tell his children a story, but also tell them a story that is universal. And there's something for me that always works for that in Lord of the Rings. It's a story of good and evil that's so complete. It's so natural. There's an instant automatic understanding that even a child gets what works about the story, and at the same time it's so grand and epic and perfectly done.
Well, I think that's what makes the story so great, is that like the trilogy was so well done because you watched it crumble in the first movie, and they left it in shambles, and you're sitting there and it's like a cliffhanger. It's like, what happens next?
Yeah, exactly.
Frodo's now on his way on his own with Sam, and the two Merry and Pippin are now with the Uruk-hai,
right?
And then
this thing
the three are going after him, and like I said, Boromir's dead and Gandalf's gone.
Yes.
No, everybody thinks he's dead at this point, but
the path that seems so clear and this way to rightness that seems so easy now is shattered. But there's still this sense of hope as we leave this first one. This sense of there is still the path that we need to walk, and the things that we know we need to do, and we still have the will and the strength to do this, and so we will continue on. The tone of this movie, again, just as like its own little movie. As we move it to the next couple, it's beautiful as a starting place, but it does its own job of telling this perfect beginning of this story and its own little full circle moment, and it's one that will stay with me probably until the end of time. If I had to guess, I'm gonna rewatch it until I am old and gray. It will always be one of my favorite movies.
Oh, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, I cannot love it more. All right, please at home let us know how you felt about the Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
If you've got any fun behind the scene details, if you have, like me, crazy person, watch all of the extended footage, if you have seen any of the little special behind the trailer, there's so much about it, please let us know. I will take any Lord of the Rings details that you have forever and ever and ever.
And which character were you crushing on?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Who's
your favorite?
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, because clearly, exactly, the Fellowship has plenty of choices. Who do you think you would have been out of the Fellowship? I'm curious about that.
Oh,
Who would you have been? Who would you be? See, and I'm pretty sure that I'm Pippin. I'm pretty sure I'm Pippin. But exactly, let us know, because I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Just, break down your thoughts on this movie. Let us know if you've read the books, how you felt about that, because it's one that we could talk about forever and ever and ever. If you have anything that you really want us to talk about as we get through the Two Towers or Return of the King, let us know too. Anything that you want us to cover as we move through the rest of these movies, give us a shout. All right, I'm Lauren.
I'm Joe.
And this has been The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and we are excited to talk to you guys again next week. Hope you have a fantastic time. All right, we'll see you later.